conversation. It's the conversation. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Let's go. Let's go. No filter, no restrictions. You about to give my opinion in its purest form. So my words, don't try to spin them. What I said is what I said. And what I said, I meant it. The gloves are off now when I'm coming out swinging. So engage in verbal combat, but you better be ready. Cause this here for me is light work, even if the topic's heavy. I'm ready for it all with no running from nothing. You just take the time to digest what I put in, no rushing. But time is moving, don't waste it. You want the real, come and face it. Come sit and talk to me if you want it straight without a chaser. And it might burn a little when you step on up to taste it. But it's nothing harsh, I promise. Just a little conversation.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the conversation with Harold and Dave. As always, I'm Keone. There's Harold and there's Dave. We got a lot to talk about, gentlemen. How have you been?
Tired,
You said tired.
tired of all the foolishness, man. It's just ridiculous, but it's nonstop.
You-
No end.
Dave, you
I'm
know what
cold. I'm in Maine, so
I you know what I hear when I keep having to deal with this stuff? It reminds me of I don't remember what kids show it was. This is the song that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on, my friend. So much
uh,
to talk about from ICE agents being arrested, Bad Bunny Super Bowl. Of course, that's what's on everybody's mind. The president having mysterious staffers tweeting out, or not tweeting out, posting the first black president and first lady as apes, and then of course the Melania movie. I'm going to start off a little lighthearted. We're going to jump right into Super Bowl. You know, you got to tease people a little. Melania movie, $70 million, $30 million to buy the rights, 40 million dollars to buy the right, 30 something million in marketing. She got $28 million as well, and the movie has now made up to $13 million. And the thing that strikes me as the most ironic is they thought, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, they thought a base that primarily detests immigrants were going to pay money to watch a movie about an immigrant. Make that make sense.
well, a lot of them did though. I mean, this is it. I mean, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you know both the president and the vice president of the most anti-immigrant administration are both married to people who, at least Usha's family, at least immigrant. I don't think Usha was, but it's one of these things of like they they don't they don't see inconsistencies. It's our guys. It's other people are doing these horrible things, but not our guys, and not our people and all. But so yeah, the other thing though, the thing that I don't know if it's the immigrant thing. It's just you're pushing a first lady who's barely being a first lady, right? I mean, it always seemed to me just weird that she's not there, she's not present. They tore down her offices. The East Wing was the first lady's domain, and the very fact they tore it down is symbolic of how that role of first lady is gutted. Yet, let's have a big movie to draw attention that she still exists.
Well, Harold,
That
she didn't know it was torn down. She was talking about decorating it and didn't know it was torn down.
would
Yeah,
not necessarily surprise me.
yeah, no surprise there. And for me though, I didn't see it as an expectation of successful movie or documentary. What I saw it was an investment, kind of like what Elon Musk did. Let me drop a few 100 million or a few million into this couple or these individuals, and I'll get some billion-dollar contracts. And that's really what I saw from the whole process, because there was no substance. There was nothing there really to draw anyone there, because outside of the Genius Visa, which I'm still trying to figure out how that happened, but outside of the Genius Visa, we don't know exactly what she has done, and I don't want to I don't drag anyone's name, but the bottom
Mhm.
line is, or reputation, but the bottom line is there was nothing substantive there for anyone to one, first want to do a documentary, and then two, want to go watch it. So
Well, Dave, if you're gonna do a documentary, your first thing you might not want to do is pick a director who's known who has sexual harassment and assault claims against him. You might not want to start there.
Well, these guys are, I mean, but they're all part of this, right? I mean, and well, I hate to say things like that. This is what really pisses me off about this
Yeah.
is I don't like conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
Yet, just everybody is connected and everyone's showing up in these things. And so everyone's got some essay in their background, it
Mhm.
seems. And on that side, and so you're kind of like, well, what's going on? The other thing too is this payoff, right? Bezos, or Bezos, for Amazon, right? He does this. This is a bribe. This is pay. This is like the peace board. It's another grift. It's another, hey, we're going to do this thing. I don't care if it fails. It's money laundering. If I lose money on it, well, I still had to pay Melania all this money, and they probably picked this guy. I don't think they picked this guy in his resume. There was probably something they wanted. There was probably some connection that they wanted out of him. And uh, it is part of this billionaire club corruption thing that is increasingly hard to ignore, increasingly hard to say, well, maybe you're overblowing it, maybe you're being, tinfoil hat about it. And so the billionaires are, paying each other off, scratching each other's backs.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm over it. Moving on. I'm
Moving
sorry.
on. Well, let's just go ahead and get to the thing that's been in the news cycle since, well, not since the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl. And, we can pick the low hanging fruit arguments of, people saying, well, they pick a non-US citizen to sing at halftime, not understanding that Puerto Rico is a part of the United States. And then people were listing out all of the halftime participants who weren't citizens, like Shakira and Rihanna and U2, and no one had a problem then. So of course, once that goalpost has been met, we got to move it to, well, he's not performing any of it in English. Number one, we always forget that the United States does not have an official language. That's number one. A lot of people don't know that. Number two, 143 million people disagreed that no one wanted to watch the halftime show. And when you watch the halftime show, you saw a lot of celebration. I just love the theatrics. I love the colors. I love from the details of the person getting their hair cut in the barbershop window to people actually getting married, to the actual grandparents of the people getting married dancing with the grandkids, to handing a Grammy to a kid that's been affected by ICE, to calling out all the countries in the Americas. If you found something to complain about that halftime show, you were looking for something to complain about for that halftime show.
Are you going to take
I
this
know,
one?
I know you two are so over it, but we gotta.
No, no worries. I got you. I
Uh,
got you. Well, see, my thing is, going back to your point, you've had literally in my research, 14 out of 33 NFL halftime performers were non-American. 14 out of 33. So that's almost half. And yet they chose the American to make a stink about. And that's interesting to me. But in addition to that, when I look at it, it's the economics of it as well. Apple released their new earbuds, which now has translation features. But more importantly for me is, as I said to a friend of mine who we have a brief discussion about it, the problem I think most people had is they did not understand Puerto Rican culture. Forget about the language translation because you can figure out through context clues the messaging. But most of us here in America don't know, nor do we understand Puerto Rican culture. And those that were most critical have no interest in learning about Puerto Rican culture, even though Puerto Rico is a territory of America. And so the sad part about it is we will look for, like you said, a million one reason to say no when you have a million reasons to embrace the culture, to learn from the culture, and try to move forward and helping not just us become a more unified body, but you know, giving credit where credit is due. You know,
And I don't need to understand Puerto Rican culture. Just watching that, I saw a lot of our culture. I saw things that we do, the way we have weddings, the way we braid hair on the stoop. Culture is culture. It's amazing how
hmm
a lot of these cultures are similar. Pierce Morgan, who Dave, I hate when I have, just like you hate when you have to agree with Margie Taylor Greene. I hate when Pierce Morgan makes. I have to agree with him. On one of his shows, he pointed out when you go to the opera and listen to Pavarotti, do you yell, "God dang it, this is in Italian"? I don't know the language that he's speaking.
And one thing I've been as something, we're doing the Louis Louis thing,
Yeah.
right? Where, the old Louis Louis, that song, which I won't sing anymore. But everyone thought it was dirty because the guy's was unintelligible. The point
Mhm.
is, a lot of lyrics in English are unintelligible.
Right.
But now we've got this whole thing of these allegations that there are bad lyrics, right? Because that's the new thing they're on to, is these investigations into the lyrics. Um, I'll go out on a limb here and say when I watched the show, I thought it was a spectacular production. I don't know that I was really like digging the show. I was actually maybe a little disappointed that it started with a Spanish rap, which isn't as lyrical, is it, or it's lyrical, it's not as musical. And I was really expecting more of a beat. And so it took me a while to get, and I was just kind of like, why don't we have subtitles? Right? Because if you go to an opera and it's in Italian, you have the words, they give you a program with the lyrics so you can follow the book, and tell what's going on. And I felt that I was missing a lot. But again, that might also have been the genius of it is you have to then go back and watch it again and find out what was said and what are these words, what are they, what's the meaning. So that might actually be the genius of it.
Mhm.
But I felt they missed the opportunity to give us the subtitles so we could understand more of what was going
Mhm.
on. But now they've also opened themselves up to these claims of dirty lyrics, and I've been like pulling up the lyrics. I have yet to find any. Right? I've
Well,
seen translations. I'm
mhm.
like, I can't find any. Um, of course, a lot of these songs are, um, uh, well, a little
well,
kiss from grandma on the balcony, catching all the holes on the Rubicon. Uh,
yeah,
I
but
guess there is. He has the. I guess he has the Spanish word for the F word.
every
But
every
it's
every historical uh band or act, whether it was heavy metal in the back of the day, will tell you you haven't made it till they're investigating your lyrics or playing your record backwards to see if you're summoning the devil, right? But I guess it's a little. I get what you're saying, but I guess I'm not disagreeing. But it's a little different for me being from Miami and being around different Hispanic cultures. I don't need to know what they're saying. I've been to many Spanish clubs where I'm just enjoying the music and dancing, and I'm getting the vibe. I didn't know a lick of what he was saying, but I was in beat, in tune, and enjoying it. So it wasn't necessary for me, but I different get it. And then I'm also a different person with subtitles. When I start reading subtitles, I start to ignore everything else and I'm focused on reading. So for me, it's a little different. But I
undoubtedly
totally
why they didn't do it. They wanted
yeah,
you to focus on the performance. I mean,
right.
I understand there's a very reasonable answer to my point that makes me look like an idiot.
Yeah.
no,
And I don't
no, it doesn't.
disagree with it, but I will say that I by first blush I was not digging it as much.
Mhm.
It has grown on me though. That's what I think is interesting is as I've
Mhm.
watched parts of it again and have been hearing, all right, this is what he's doing. I don't think I've ever gone back to a Super Bowl performance as much as
Mhm.
this one. So
I've been
in
going
the end,
back
I think it
because of
worked.
the little details that I missed. It's almost like watching a movie for the second time and seeing all the little stuff that you missed. That's what I've been going back and looking at all the
And the
stuff. And
production, there were
Mhm.
scenes like there were shots where he looks down, and I know there's got to be a camera down in this shot, but they hid cameras in people, and they just made it. I mean, just I kept looking production wise at this thing. Like, no one has ever done this. I don't think anyone's come close to this. Maybe, I guess Katy Perry had a lot of high wire stuff. you
Yeah.
know,
But she did stuff you could do in a concert. But just the fact that, like when he fell down the roof and then you had the visual of him, I couldn't tell if that was pre-recorded or that was what was actually going on in the house. That was a little mystery behind that because they didn't show the camera angle looking through the door. That camera angle was very specific to show a corner of the door. So Chris says, I didn't understand a word, but I couldn't look away. The visuals told an amazing story. But people are also going to point out, as you're saying, trying to find lyrics. They point out the thing, oh, we saw the two guys dancing by the truck. They're going to point that out.
Okay.
Him giving the Grammy to the kid was an issue. Oh, and then the big one that I heard the next day is, why did he say the United States and then Canada at the end? Why did he say United States at the end?
Well, like I said, if you're looking for a criticism, you can find it no matter where you are, what you're doing. But
They
I
didn't
want them to
realize he
have
was
the
singing
same
it from
energy
south
for
to
the
north.
halftime show, both halftime shows. If we're going to have
Oh,
energy, let's
we're
have
going to get
energy
into
for both.
that.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet? I'm sorry, my
No, we're
bad.
going to get into that because the big, big, big alternative that every Fox analyst and conservative analyst told us that America is going to see.
Yeah, that
The
Christian.
Puppy Bowl got more ratings, doubled the ratings
Thank
of the
you.
Turning Point.
Thank you. That's my favorite stat out of all this.
What
Yes,
was that again? I
the
missed it.
Puppy Bowl that they annually show at halftime,
Oh,
which
wow.
is puppies playing football,
What?
got 13.8 million views. That's almost double
Dave is killing it.
what Turning Point's halftime show had, even though they told Christy Nome don't come anywhere near the Puppy Bowl.
That
Mm,
had to be said.
yeah.
And you've got Chris Rock, who I didn't realize aged that poorly. Meth is a hell of a drug,
Not Chris Rock.
allegedly. Allegedly.
Kid
I didn't
Rock.
realize the age. Kid Rock. What did I say?
Chris Rock.
Oh, my
I
bad.
think
Oh,
he
I am
said
so
he was
sorry,
Kid
Chris
Rock.
nowhere
Rock.
near
We'll have
that.
to
No,
play that
not Chris
back
Rock.
later.
Yeah, I am so sorry, Chris Rock. Forgive me. I am forever in your debt. Kid Rock aged so poorly. Not only did they say it was going to be live, and we found out it was pre-recorded with people that they paid to be in the crowd, which is not a new thing. But
That's
they didn't get
different.
they didn't even get the recording synced together, and then he spoiled it by accidentally admitting it in an interview on Fox. So it's just comedy gold.
Wow.
They lie.
Wow. But now he's taking backlash. Receiving backlash for some of his lyrics about underage girls and
Yeah,
liking underage girls. So hey,
but
it just never stops. But that was the Christian artist that they wanted on the Turning Point Christian halftime show.
which is so crazy because earlier on in Chris Rock's career, a lot
Not
of black
Chris,
people
not
I mean,
Chris.
sorry, Kid Rock's. I don't know why Chris Rock is on my brain.
I don't know either,
Um,
but stop it.
in Kid, maybe because you said Christian. But in Kid Rock's career early on, there were a lot of black people that liked Kid Rock. Hell, he was on the BET Awards a couple times. He um, did collaborations with a lot of rap artists, and I don't know where this person came from. I
Well,
guess it's always been that way. But if people couldn't tell that the Kid Rock that they were looking at couldn't possibly sound like the recorded Kid Rock from 20 years ago, you don't sound exactly the same as you do
well,
when you're screaming to the top of your lungs. Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses will tell you that. But
but he started out as actually a rapper,
yeah.
a failed one, but a rapper nonetheless. And what he decided to do was take his rap lyrics and put it to rock music, and that's what kind of led
Uh-oh.
him carving his own way into that particular niche of rock and roll music. He even stole some lyrics from I would MC Busy B, the dim diddy dang 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 digga digga and all of that kind of stuff that he used in his early releases. So he started in one direction, but I guess he met Trump and got, you know, wow, code name for Epstein Island. Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, what I think what I think is so
C-Mac
funny
is off the rails, man.
what I think is so funny is how small the group is. You know, when as soon as they soon as the T pussies said they were going to do this, right? T pussa, uh,
Hmm.
they go out and some people were like, "Oh, Chris Rock," right there, and it was kind of a joke.
Chris
And
Rock.
then it turns out to be that he, and then they've got no one else that you've ever heard of, right? They have these minor country stars to go with them, and but then the sponsors, you go in the sponsors. Now I have a real problem that actually Home Depot shows up on this list, and I really am invested in Ryobi tools, so I don't, I'm a captive customer for Home Depot, but I don't, they were about the only corporate entity on there, but you had like Kevin Sorbo, the family, the Scott Baio families, the Stallone family, and it's like this tiny little I wouldn't call Stallone a B list, but the other guys are C list, celebrities. And, it's just such a small group. Yet they, they think they're going to have this great show and it's all going to be wonderful. And I'm sorry, I just did. Oh God, God save it. I do like what they lied. No way. I'm mendacity. By the way, that should be our word of the year.
Oh,
Mendacity.
they have the
Fancy way of saying
audacity.
someone's lying.
So
Mendacious.
the
I'm a professor. I get to use words like that.
You get a pass. Huh?
and I also love, and you can't be surprised at this because we've dealt with the MAGA culture of, days we keep saying we're trying not to do this thing of just bashing an entire group, but I mean, it's
Gotta
anyway,
leave it open, bro.
um, of talking about facts that aren't facts and making narratives that aren't true. And one of the things that they kept saying is, especially on Fox, is who is Bad Bunny? Everybody doesn't know who he is. I've never, four of the top selling, top 10 downloaded songs in the United States belong to Bad Bunny. So
Mm.
apparently, is it two people just continuously downloading his stuff
Yeah,
24 hours a day?
on different devices. Yeah, I got you.
Different devices. There's some guy in a basement with 40 computers and he's just downloading constantly 24 hours a day. That's what's happening.
Rename the
Well,
file, download.
And then they go, Dave, here's the thing, and I'm going to turn
yeah.
over you.
No, please
They
do.
say that the Turning Point halftime show was now the second most watched in that time period. And they put out stuff that's easily researchable because everyone has a freaking smartphone and a computer. So they just say stuff as if you can't look it up.
The incredible mendacity in the sense of not credible. I mean, but yeah, they, because somebody was saying that their claims about their YouTube views, they were saying that they did better than all of these like World Cup games, and then you look at the numbers and you go, no, there's no way that's possible because of you know various things on YouTube. But they believe their lies. They tell the lies, and the lying is fealty, and it's signals of belonging. Because this is the problem: is what you say is not an exchange of information. It's a cultural, an identity signifier, and which is again words that professors say. But when you do a signifier, you're showing something and you're demonstrating for everyone. And so you tell the lie, you repeat the lie. You don't care if it's true because it's demonstrating fealty. Uh, and it's even better when you get attacked for doing it because then it becomes a costly signal, and you become the martyr. You know, uh, and yeah, that's what a lot of those guys are doing.
Well, speaking of halftime shows, I found it interesting when you talk about stats. They didn't beat the Fox In Living Color, the original halftime show that In Living Color did back in 1992. They
Wow.
had 22, I think it was 22 million viewers. So I don't know how far on the bottom they can scrape, but like you said, it's
I don't
researchable.
remember this In Living Color halftime show. Was
Yeah,
there?
they're the
I
ones
remember
that did it. The NFL saw what happened or became aware of it, and then that's when the next year, '93, when they started upping their game with their halftime performance. Because before it was literally high school or college bands that were
Mhm.
out there playing and majorettes dancing and things of that nature during the halftime. That's when '93 is when Michael Jackson came out of the
Wow.
floor or whatever, popped up and started the whole process of the halftime show, Super Bowl.
I did not know this, but then I don't follow hockey, so
Can't. I can't with.
Love it. Oh Lord, we got
although
sound effects
I
now.
did watch In Living Color.
The only show that was better than SNL and Mad TV put together. Um, yeah, basically, and a lot of artists dropped out of the tour, not because of
Mhm.
this, but a lot of the artists were lied to. A lot of the artists didn't know that they were warming up for Kid Rock. They didn't know Kid Rock was the headliner. And when they found out, they dropped out. But what they did was they didn't announce the dropping out immediately. They waited weeks and weeks and months to say that this artist dropped out and this artist dropped out. Because if you're an artist and you've got a big following, why would you be warming up for Kid Rock?
Well,
Why
I
would
mean,
you?
Ludacris, I think, was one of those artists as well.
He was on the tour, but he wasn't on that. And the misconception with Ludacris is it wasn't pitched to him as a turning point
Right.
or Kid Rock or conservative type of tour. What was pitched to him was we want to do a tour with musicians from different genres, rock, country, hip hop, and do a unification tour. It was built as a unification tour. And then when you started looking at the roster and realizes, well, how is it a unification tour if there's only like 3 people or 2 people from my genre on here? And then the backlash came, and then it's like, oh, let me look into this. Oh crap, let me get off of this tour.
Yep.
Eh,
Fine, Marshall Bill.
There is.
C Mac is going
That's when I
crazy
was
in the chat.
drifting off. I was going back, thinking how it's kind of a shame. In Living Color, the guy I most remember from it is Jim Carrey.
Yeah. And Carrie and Jamie Foxx were
um,
2 of my favorite. That was such a talent. Jamie Foxx, Jim Carrey, Tommy Davidson, all the Wayneses, of course.
Hmm.
the Wayanses,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were
yep,
great.
all of
Uh,
them.
anyway, but
There's a funny story about Bruce Willis when he went to do the last Boy Scout with Damon Wayans.
Mm.
So they
Okay.
tell Damon Wayans they're going to fly him out there. When he gets off of the airplane, there's a limo driver with a sign that says Keenan Ivory Wayans. So he just goes, okay. And he gets in the car. When he gets to the place, they have his hotel room under Keenan Ivory Wayans. So he goes and does that. When the guy comes and picks him up to take him to the casting, it's Keenan Ivory Wayans. So when he gets in there, he said, I'm figuring like, should I tell them I'm not Keenan? They want Keenan. And he said, Bruce Willis walks up and goes, gotcha. He was ribbing him the whole time. I'm like, why would you do that to that poor guy?
because
All right.
it's funny.
Because it's funny. All right, so we've got the president who, of course, is so in tune with um, X, the artist
I need a
formerly known
drink.
as Twitter, and all of his
Mm.
different sites that he posts on. But for some reason, for 12 hours, he didn't realize that there was a video of former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama being depicted as gorillas. How does he miss that? First, Bondi comes out and says it's a Democrat hoax because that's their favorite thing to say.
Hmm.
And then, of course, they have to walk that back. And then you have the
Levitt, you mean
defenders
it.
saying, well, Joe Biden was a gorilla in there. And I love the guy from LBC that said Joe Biden's white. That's not the trope. The trope is the problem. And if you don't
Mm.
understand that, that's an issue.
You know, um, And well, first of all, it's very clear what happened. An old guy with dementia was sundowning and posted this thing, and then they wake up and they try, and again, the lying, and there's no way there isn't lying involved in this, because they tell so many different stories that one of them's got to be a lie. And so, Carolyn Levitt tries to say, oh, it's uh not necessarily a lie. She tries to defend it as being the bigger picture. um but the things, the staffer did it, or Trump, I didn't see the part,
At the
where,
end, yeah.
and the thing, it starts with the Obamas. Now he's saying, oh, he saw something about other stuff like leading up to it. There might, but it's not credible when you get to it, and it's all, it's very clear that what's going on is at around midnight. This is when this happens. The old guy, his brain he's sundowning, right? He's no longer on the clock. He's manic. He doesn't have a filter. He does stuff. And, his staff, I saw one guy made a comment. He said his staff goes to bed every night terrified that he's going to post something while they're asleep that ends his presidency. And this didn't necessarily end his presidency, but we have Republicans out saying, hey, this is going to cost us the Senate, or this is going to, that this is resonating in a way, and hitting different, more viscerally. So, just the lying, though, like, it seems to be my theme tonight.
Right. But I mean, but when you're so used to everybody covering for him, you know who he is. You know who he's aligned with. He has done this in different shapes and forms throughout history, throughout his legacy, this is really part of his legacy. And sadly, those that are afraid to go against him will do whatever they can to try to sweep it under the rug, to cover it with whatever. And sadly, they end up looking foolish behind it. And I'm saying to myself, this whole idea of Christian, as we are supposed to be. Last time I checked, the book of Revelation says Christians, liars will have their part in the lake of fire. So I guess they're getting ready to jump in with gasoline draws on or something. I don't know. But they're headed in that direction and don't see a problem with it.
I don't understand if you don't, because you don't. People say he's not racist, and stop calling him a racist. But he doesn't do anything to dissociate himself with racism. Remember the first time he ran, when David Dukes was endorsing him, he could have came out and said, "Yeah, that guy needs to shut up. Don't endorse me."
No, he said he didn't know him.
Yeah, he didn't
He
know
tried
him.
to deny knowing David Duke.
He didn't know him. Didn't know. Obama had to make that decision with I can't remember his name. What are you laughing at? What did Chris? What did what did
What
Chris
does the
say?
Trump Bible say?
What does the Trump Bible say? I don't know. He might be selling those too, since for $1 million you can get, your temporary citizenship.
Lord
For a
have
guy
mercy.
whose fan base don't want more people to come over here, and their leader is offering Trump gold cards for temporary fast tracks for $1 million. It's just,
Or you can blow up your fan base and get a fake one, like Nicki Minaj.
ooh, Dave,
Well, did she
you
pay
went there.
for it? If she paid
You went
$5 million
there.
and got
No,
it, then
no,
he says, "Well, it's an
Nicki
honorary
Minaj came
thing."
out and did all that crap,
She did all the stuff and
going
messed up
on
the fan base.
to Turning Point and talking about how wonderful Trump is and how young men could use their dapper president, with her little dapper president.
She's his
Uh,
number one fan.
uh, but she does all that, and then she goes to the White House and they give her a gold card, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to get my citizenship," and then oh no, that was a souvenir. That's not real.
Yeah,
And you know, it's just this thing of like,
she
the
sandaled for.
leopards are going, how many people's faces have you seen eaten by the leopards at this point that you don't understand? They're never going to accept you. They don't like you. They detest you. You're uh, you're black and an immigrant at the same time. I mean, and you're a pop star, and they'll if you say the thing they like, they're going to like it for the credit it gives them, but they don't like you, and they're never going to accept you. And then she goes, then she's like, "Oh, they lied to me. I'm back." It's like, no, you can't have
No,
them back.
that's not how that works.
Yeah, no, no.
Not how that works.
Your
And
barbecue invitation has been revoked. You're not, no family reunion for you. No, sorry.
Oh my God. And let's switch over to the thing that's been going on for a while now.
Wait,
We
wait.
can't,
Before you
oh,
go
go
there,
ahead,
there's also one piece that we missed when we were talking about the halftime show.
go ahead.
yes,
There's video with Trump at Mar-a-Lago actually watching the Bad Bunny
Well,
halftime
you know
show
why?
and not the
Do you,
TBS
no, do you know why?
halftime
Do you know
show.
why?
I know you mentioned it was pre-recorded,
Well, it's not
but
only that it was
uh,
pre-recorded, they said they were going to play it in in competition. They didn't play it until after.
because they knew they wouldn't get anyone watching it.
So they might have got less than the
yeah,
7 million views or whatever they got. They didn't, so it wasn't live like it was supposed to be. And then they didn't even play it in direct competition.
yeah, because they were all busy watching the Super Bowl halftime show.
They just played it afterwards. Because it's amazing that a lot of commentators who did not watch the halftime show but can
Claimed,
point out the things and the next breath on what they didn't like
Very.
in the halftime show.
I hope you used air quotes when you said that.
There was another anecdote with this of some MAGA club like bar owner posted some MAGA fan
Zero.
fiction about how they had they had a Super Bowl party, and they had one screen for each show, and
Mhm.
even though 80% of the audience wanted to watch the turning point, they had it. And that the people that wanted to watch the Bad Bunny show got all upset and mad, and then left bad reviews.
Yeah,
And the thing is, like,
I
one, they
saw the
weren't on at
fake
the same
skits.
time,
Yeah,
so
I
what
saw
you're
the fake
talking
skits.
about didn't happen. But then somebody went and they said, well, let's go to this person's site and see the bad reviews they supposedly got from these, because it's this idea that we're holier than the liberals, right? And so the woke left is all are the people who hate. And you go to it is, but it's like, yes, but we also can go on Yelp ourselves and look it up, and it turned out that this was a lie, that there were
Ooh,
no bad reviews from anyone. And it's
ooh.
like, again, performative. Lying is okay because what you're doing is demonstrating fealty. And uh,
Chris brought up something, so I'm gonna have to show you guys the drama that unfolded. And I think he brought it up, Dave, because you're on here. And I
Mm.
think that's why he brought it up, because it's from your favorite friend.
Oh,
I gotta
Dave's
pull
got
this
a
up.
stalker.
No, I gotta pull this up. So I'm gonna take what he said down because I'm gonna share my screen and bring it up. Thank you, Chris, for not telling me you were going to put that up there. I would have had it. I would have had it dialed up. We do this live. Damn it. Um,
That's C-Mac. He's doing a great job.
oh, you gave him a name. Oh God, he's in
Yes,
love. He
yes.
gave him a nickname.
Boom.
So Jackson posted something about Bad Bunny, and Cello, your favorite friend Dave, chimes in. I believe I have the right to disagree. First Lady chose to become an American. As far as I know, Bad Rabbit, because that's funny, right? Bad Rabbit was born in Puerto Rico and therefore did nothing himself to be an American citizen. Not earned, my humble opinion. Cheers. I responded, I was born in Miami, so I didn't earn it either. And then I also, well, first, Chris, I said, the first lady came to the U.S. in 1996, got her green card in 2001, 5 years
Yes.
later, and then became a U.S. citizen in 2006. When you do that over that period of time, these days, the MAGA crowd calls you illegal and continue to move the goalposts. Jackson responds to Cello, opinions are like secret recipes. Oversharing ruins the dish. Cello responds, if they do not agree with you, if they do not agree with what you think, Cheers. And then Chris, because C-Mac, as you call him, chimed in. Cello, you're like the remains of a horrendous shit that
Oh,
continues to stain underwear long after you've been served your purpose and been flushed. Earned, seriously, STFU, you worthless turd. So that was the innocent Facebook back and forth from this weekend because
Well, that got
apparently
ugly at the end.
okay, all right.
but this is
I
what we were
mean,
talking about in the beginning. Because he was born in Puerto Rico, his for some reason, this person thinks because they came from Argentina and had to wait 10 years to become a citizen, they earned it. And saying that Bad Rabbit, as he said, didn't earn it because he was born in Puerto Rico, that means every American citizen didn't earn it that was born here.
I guess that
yeah,
knocked
So you
me
didn't
out.
earn it
that's
either,
like
Dave.
most of us.
I guess knocked
Yeah,
me out. Okay.
And
you
what
didn't earn
about
it,
the
Dave.
people whose ancestors were dragged here? You know, and then you happen to be born decades. I mean, it's like this is ridiculous. Um, you know,
Well, that's to his point, Dave. I didn't earn it. My ancestors were dragged here. What did I do?
right. Well, that's the other thing is people seem to feel that being an American is an entitlement, not an obligation, not something to be lived up to.
Oh, I
And
like that.
it's not a set of ideals. It's not, and which is, the way I'm phrasing it, where I'm suggesting is, more like being a Christian, right? You're not born a Christian, right?
Correct.
You
Correct.
have to,
Mhm.
stay it. And the thing though is you are born usually and you're baptized because I didn't have anything to say about that shit. I'm a baby. Ah, water, and so you don't choose, but
Wait, Harold, I just
Wow.
pictured Dave kicking and screaming to the baptism.
I don't
pool.
want it. Just turning
you know,
over the bowl
uh,
or
and but
wow. That's funny.
it is and and I guess got to say I give Cello a hard time because after that whole thing it's all about other people. He's and in common with many people in MAGA, it's identity by vilification of others. It's
Mm,
I mean, even before we started debating, he's talking about how he saw Argentina being destroyed by these bad people, and now he sees it in America. And you know, when you treat other people as horrible, as evil, and and you build your self-worth off the vilification of others. This is anti-Christian, right? If Christian is to love other people, this is some kind of anti-Christian thing. And it just, to me, that's what I can't abide, right? That's why he pisses me off so much, because I can't credit that. It's that malevolence towards other people. And I will be intolerant of intolerance. And I'm sorry if that is logically inconsistent. But the problem with it, though, is it makes me not like the guy. And now he can go and say, oh, look at, he's saying all these bad things about me. And the hate. And it's like, well, because I'm reciprocating, and but that's lost on these
we're
folks.
allowed to call a thing, which we
But
don't do anymore.
but I think Cello was swimming in a lake of fire, so I think Zero needs to go take his scuba gear out there and see if he can find him and bring him up for war for air or something. But
Well, Dave,
it's utterly ridiculous,
yeah,
when you step back
yeah.
and look at it, and just it was nonsensical, and it tells me how ignorant he is more so than anything else. Sometimes and I forget the saying, but it's almost like no, essentially no one will know you're an idiot until you open your mouth, and prove them right or something to that effect.
Mhm.
But I think when we look at the fact that there is a deeper meaning or deeper issue that they are afraid to unveil, which we know it's race. If we don't play the game, we know it's race. So there's a deeper issue, but rather than highlighting the issue, we try to skirt around it and make
Mhm.
these other false accusations, which only further I guess you could say, almost say creates some level of frustration when trying to address or have decent conversation with these individuals. But it'll never make sense because it's nonsensical.
And the deeper issue too, the hatred isn't, they don't come to that, they don't come to the vilification immediately. It's fear. It's this
Mm.
fear of you're not of doing it. And so one way you make yourself feel better about the world and what you don't understand, and people who are different from you fear them, and so you vilify them and sacralize yourself.
See, Mac.
And then so the hatred always comes from fear, which again really pisses me off. Why are you afraid of these other people? Oh, they don't look like you, or they play a game, or I mean, I'm just like, I don't know. It's
Hard to explain. Don't have an aneurysm, Dave. Please don't do it. Don't do it.
but no, it
But
just
C-Mac hit it on point with the quote in the chat.
yeah.
"'Tis better to appear an idiot than open one's mouth and remove all doubt."
Why I also don't like when God, uh it's exhausting. It's literally exhausting. And it's the accusatory thing of when someone's accusing one side of doing something, but they're doing the same exact thing. Why do you
Deflection.
need to make your point by saying bad rabbit? What are you doing? Like, what are we doing? This is a doctor who's supposed to be highly educated, and then when you disagree, I remember what I was going to really remember to say that pisses me off about him. It's the same thing that pisses me off with a lot of MAGA people. And I've talked about this on the show before. When we turn opinions into facts, and one of his phrases is, let's let the facts be the facts, and then follow that up with a whole avalanche of opinions. And we write those off as these must be facts. And then you prove it wrong with research or data. And what did you get, Dave, in the debate? Here comes Dave with his facts.
God damn him.
I think they're allergic to facts. I don't know.
Damn you, Dave. You and your stupid facts. Okay. All right.
Piss
Before
me
we got 13 minutes left before we got out of here, we do have to make the rounds back to, of course, the Epstein files, which is something that is not going away, and it shouldn't, because full transparency is still not being done. Reports of the president's name being scrubbed out or redacted over 3,500 times is just insane. And you got MAGA people, and not just MAGA people that support him that aren't MAGA, saying, well, it's because he wasn't in the sexual part of the transcripts, so there was no reason to have that information out there. Yeah, right. But that's making its round. We get things little by little. And Dave, I think the saddest thing, and I can't remember the young lady's name. I had it in my notes here. Reading the diaries of some of these young women in journals that have been posted, such as the one girl who had to get, abort a baby, and they were just telling her, close your eyes, breathe, you're going to feel pain. And when she described the pain that she felt, and it's like, these are truly evil people. Why are we protecting these people? But the reason why we're protecting these people, and the reason why we have people defending these people, is because we have idiots like this. And once again, I had to be on Piers Morgan's side. Let's watch this clip.
A couple of months ago, I had a British girl reach out to me, and she said that her and her friends met Jeffrey Epstein in Virginia the weekend of March 10th, 2001, at the Dorchester Hotel. Virginia lured them to Jeffrey's hotel. She made the girls lie and say that they were 18 years old. One was 13, one was 14.
Come on.
They actually signed NDAs with Virginia, and David Boies paid them off. Now, they're too scared to come out.
Well, unless you've got evidence for any of that, I'm not going to just allow you to spew any cock and bull conspiracy theory that has come to your mind.
Once David Boies, it might take to the point where he passes away, And then I feel like the floodgates will open and all
well, you know
these
what?
people...
David Boys might well sue you. David Boys might well sue you over what you've just said.
Well,
it's a
these
very
girls
serious
are
defamation.
in touch with the Metropolitan Police. So what I want to tell you is I'm very much in touch with the police, literally on WhatsApp, and they know a lot of information that you guys are not privy to. But
do you know what, Victoria? With the greatest respect, I think you talk utter shit.
All right.
And I'm sorry. I've known you a long time. I think you've disappeared down a conspiracy rabbit hole that is frankly
Well, I've always been right about my conspiracies. You were wrong about COVID and you were wrong about the vaccine.
You don't give a damn about these girls. You don't give a damn about these victims. You think it's fine to smear all of them. You admit it. You proudly admit it. And I think it's shameful.
Why would I feel sorry for people that are liars?
We now know from these documents just how disgusting the scandal is, and yet still you come on shows like this and you're still in total denial for reasons that completely baffle me.
Can we talk about the quality of girls? So Anushka DeGiorgio as an example. You know what she did? Like, this is the caliber of person we're talking about. Anushka DeGiorgio...
Actually, I'm not going to let you smear them. I'm sorry. I'm not.
She was the girl that set up Tom Parker
No, I'm not going to let you do it. Sorry,
she
cut
did
it,
it.
Mike.
She did that long story.
I'm not letting you do it. I'm not letting you smear these victims anymore. I'm just not going to let you do it. Just cut her off.
Cut her, Mike.
Wow.
You know, and the thing is, even if she's not lying, even if everything she just said was true, she's talking about underage girls and she's trying to give them some kind of culpability because they lied. And I'm like, well, all these girls are teenagers, young kids. Yeah, they're lying because they're being groomed. They cannot.
Did you hear what you just said, Dave?
What?
You said young kids, and they keep calling them young women.
Oh yeah, because that's the point. They keep trying to migrate away from it.
Mm-hmm.
A 13-year-old girl, even if she's lying, she's been groomed. She's been put into that thing. And even if they are like pursuing some kind of goal, maybe they imagined it themselves, even if they get, they're still not, you're the adult. You're not supposed to do that. And you can't have consent with a minor. And they groom these people. And we got something playing all of a sudden. But and that's the thing is, even if she was telling the truth, she's invalid. And it's still heinous and disgusting because you're manipulating someone and you're bending them and taking away their free will, even if they think they're going along with it, right? Because they're impressionable and they're young. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and we keep talking about Epstein Island, but in 2019, he also purchased a property, I think it was in New Mexico, where the same activity took place. And there's now, with Peter Thiel and others going there. And you wonder, when you're talking about now trafficking immigrants coming from Mexico over, and it was also reported that, a lot of young people went missing after going through that particular, so say, compound, to describe it better, and having experienced what they experienced. So, the sad part about it is, I've often said, when we're dealing with human trafficking, the reason why it won't go away is because we have too many heads of state involved globally that prevent this matter from being properly addressed by the proper authorities. So, although we're talking about the island, we know that Epstein had multiple properties all over the world where things were happening to young people. And why they target teenagers?
Down there in South Florida. I even heard a person trying to explain on I thought Joe Rogan had came around and then he did the 180 right back. And they had some idiot comedian on there. I'm not even going to say his stupid name, that was explaining, well, when you're in the billionaires club, you can't date regular women. You can't just go to the club. And I'm like, you know what? I would respect a billionaire who couldn't date whatever. They have an escort. Even, don't let me say that. If you paid for a prostitute, you're an adult. You do what you want with your money. There's no way you can justify having relations with an underage person. And we're not even talking 17 turning 18. We're talking 13, 14, and 15,
Oh,
you
I've
know?
even heard as young as 9.
Well,
It's sickening, but
it is. And so you had the president being asked about it. And of course, he does the thing he always does. He's asked the question, and he talked about the reporter's looks or her being negative. It's just don't answer the question. Let's just go to the shtick of that. But I don't think there's ever going to be full transparency until after this administration is gone. I'm surprised they even still have the damn files. That's one. And then we still don't have all the things that, remember, Epstein's estate has things because they released some things before the Epstein files were released. And I keep saying the Epstein files were released. Well, I'm going to stop saying that. A portion of the Epstein files that have been released.
And the amazing thing about this is Trump beat the drum loudly, consistently. He made this a centerpiece of his cause, spun a story that they were going to release the Epstein files and it was going to implicate all of these people. And, he made it so core to some of the extremists in his movement. And, it's kind of like you did this. You brought all of this on yourself, not just for the behavior that we're now looking back on, but you somehow didn't understand that what you did in that group of people you associated with were so heinous that you couldn't implicate the Clintons without implicating yourself. And in fact, probably more people on your side are coming out. And it's that's the thing. I just am like, because he wasn't as demented then when he was beating the drum, right? Now you look at him, but and it's like, what did you think was going to happen when you were calling for the release of these files? Now maybe it is he just never thought they'd be released.
You know what it is, Dave, too? I think because some people, when they get old, he was old then, don't understand. He thinks because he cut ties at a certain point that he was good, not understanding the records that were kept pre the time that he stopped communicating. And a lot of them, what's the guy's name? Howard Lutnick. Lutnick? Howard Lutnick? Remember, he did that interview talking about we went to Epstein's house, and when we walked in, we saw a massage table, and he told us, "Well, let's get a massage every day." And he whispered between me and my wife, and I'm talking about the good massage. And me and my wife looked at each other, and we both felt that this is the most disgusting person we've ever met. And we left that house, and we never talked to him again. Well, there's been a whole bunch of emails and inquisitions about how to get to the island and all of that since then. Do these people not understand how cell
listen,
phones, text, and emails work?
we're gonna need scuba gear to go find these bodies in the lake of fire. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But again, this is what happens when you don't want to implicate. Remember, Trump also said if he's not releasing the files because he knows of others, it's going to hurt too many people. And I'm paraphrasing him saying that, but that's essentially what he said in one of his statements. He knows the depth of who all's involved. To have your name listed, what, over 1 million times in various situations, he knows exactly what's going on. And then, they're trying to spin it, which each certain incidents, they're trying to spin it and say, well, no, in 2019, he called the police on Jeffrey Epstein and all this kind of crap. Come on, really?
Well, and every
Really?
time there's a major update or leak, something happens. The first date of release, it wasn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, the first releasal date was actually the day that we went into Venezuela, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I'd have to
Well,
research that.
they've been dribbling out I don't know when the first tranche hit. Yeah, don't get me. I don't know, man. I can't keep track of this.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
hard.
Chris, this isn't so because Chris says, given the arrest occurred during Biden's cabinet, means the files were most lint shared with other countries. Our copy is now nothing but evidence and obstruction. Well, okay, so there's because a lot of people were like, well, like Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith said, well, Biden had the files. Why did he do anything? Well, he couldn't do anything because it was under investigation at that time. The files were sealed.
Well, let's start this. If he
Yeah,
was arrested in 2019 under
yeah.
the
Under
former
Trump.
president,
That's what I
under the
was
current
saying.
president,
I was just looking it up myself. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you and I had the same
2019. That's
thought.
when he was first arrested,
Right.
Right.
and then a year later he commits suicide or was killed or whatever the case may be. But it's amazing how every time there's a particular death, they scrub the crime scene, so you don't have any evidence to gather, and there's nothing to go back and
Hey,
investigate.
they didn't scrub the crime scene. The janitor came on
My
shift
bad.
and didn't realize it and started mopping up everything. He didn't know.
My bad. My
Pepe
bad.
didn't know.
But
Not to circle back to this day, but I just saw a comment coming on the other social media, which is um it circling back to the Super Bowl. Someone said, these idiots around me kept saying ICE needs to be at the Super Bowl to catch the immigrants, and that's what we thought was going to happen. And then this comedian said, you really think that someone illegal or legal working in California in the orange fields are saving money to buy a $12,000 Super Bowl ticket?
that's the most asinine thing I've heard to date.
Natalie Wood drowned.
There is
Oh,
I think she did. Anyway, whether she was assisted in it has always been the question. The thing too, the Cato Institute, which is a very conservative think tank, recently did an analysis of the fiscal contribution of illegal immigrants and of the undocumented. And one of the things is that there's so much in it, but their analysis has said that, hey, these guys have been a net benefit to the country because they pay taxes, right? They still, you employ them, you still, taxes are collected, they never maybe get them back. They do pay taxes, but they demand very few services. They get almost no services. And that it's like trillions of dollars, right? And they went through and documented just all sorts of stuff. And it's from a conservative think tank, although it's libertarian, so it doesn't engage in the social stuff, right? The culture wars. But they've got the most damning information to date, that the idea that these folks are a drain is just, it's backwards. And getting rid of people, if you wanted, our problem is a lack. Most countries in our stage of post-industrialism are losing people. We have have shrinking populations. That's China's problem. That's their biggest problem. And the thing is, if you were to do mass deportations and not allow people in, we would end up with a shrinking population or a stagnant one, and that would be devastating to our economy. And so this is the biggest self-destructive thing. That the only saving grace is they're never going to do it because they can't actually get their act together to actually do mass deportations at anything like the rate they hope to.
And Harold, it's not just the mass deportations that's hurting. There's people in very high skill levels that aren't from this country that are deciding to leave, and that's another hurt. But Harold and Dave, Chris, because here's the thing I need to clarify. Chris says, "Why are the employers of the illegal migrant workers never held accountable?" So here's a misconception. We had this argument, Cello. What is illegal? Because we know there's people pay people under the table whether they're legal or not. Okay. But a lot of these people that we keep saying illegal are asylum seekers that are going through the proper channels to gain their citizenship, and they're working while while that's happening. They're not illegal. You
Yeah, we
know,
had a
they
big
have gone
blow
out
up
to
on
these
that one.
farms in California and found that most of the people that you're talking about are asylum seeking and going through the process. They're not like there's this misconception that illegals just come in the country and they go work at Dunkin' Donuts and they're just there 9 to 5 every day.
Well, to answer C-Mac's question, what I would say is because those companies donate to Republican legislators and they don't care about them, they're not here about accountability. They're here about profitability, and they want the power to do what they want to do, and it's through those companies. Because I've often asked the question, hey, wait, how is it that you're going after these individuals who are trying to better themselves or create a better life for themselves, but you're not holding the actual companies who are hiring these people or using that quote unquote cheap labor for their own profitability
I
at
don't
the
think
end of
that's
the day?
just a Republican thing, though.
Well, I won't say it's not just a Republic. Who owns the businesses? Bottom line,
Yeah.
majority, a lot of those large corporate entities are
Mhm,
run by conservatives,
mhm.
which tend to donate at a higher clip to Republican candidates.
And on the asylum seeking thing, there was a bill proposed in Oklahoma that would make it a felony for a non-governmental organization to provide assistance to illegal aliens or asylum seekers, to
What?
include churches.
Or
And
asylum seekers?
and the thing is, they specifically named asylum seekers along with illegal immigrants. And
Uh,
the thing is that because they knew they needed to have that, but again, asylum seekers are not illegal. You know, if you're
Well,
going
again,
through the
I'm struggling
process,
with that word illegal.
um, and that's what so many folks are. And the whole thing, because back when we were talking with Cello about this way back about during the campaign, I said, look, you had a bipartisan bill that said our problem is that people are coming in and we don't have enough judges. We don't have enough magistrates to process their asylum claims in a timely fashion so that people can come here and be an asylum seeker for over a year before we get around to it, and then they make enough money that it's worth it to go home. And the bipartisan bill, it didn't put more cops, it didn't put more gun toters, it put more pen pushers, it put more magistrates to cut through the backlog and process the asylum thing and make a determination, because a lot of times they'll say no, right? They'll do but that whole thing, and it was
but
just like,
but
oh, that's not right, that's not. But now what we're seeing with ICE is they are completely buried. As they've tried to bring people in, they've increased the number of people they've got. They don't have the lawyers, they don't have the magistrates, and they have these huge backlogs of people who are now being illegally detained and will probably eventually have to be released. And so the thing is, that whole bill, that bipartisan bill that they came up with, and Trump called in, he wasn't president at the time, called in and had him kibosh it. But now it looks like, yes, that was the right answer, and they're doing exactly the opposite.
David, that doesn't matter. You got to get to the root of the matter, David. And the root is that Biden and Kamala open the borders and let everybody in, David. That is the problem. And you're skirting around it. That's a terrible cello voice, but the point was still made.
Yeah, but I thought you were doing Melania, but I'm just, hey, that's just me. I'm sorry.
I thought it was the guy